And we are live for another episode of First Strike. Before we start the show, as always, got to plug our sponsor, FaceToFaceGames.com, the #1 place to get your Magic the Gathering singles. This week, the weekly sale is 15% off everything from the vault, not only singles, but sealed product as well. So definitely go check that out as well. Got a reminder for the Calgary Open Plus this Saturday. Tonight is the last night for on-site pickup. We tend to get a lot of messages from people throughout the week. When's the last time I can make a last-minute order so I can just pick it up and finish my Modern deck? Tonight is the night. So if you're listening, might as well make your order while watching the show because it's going to be too late. Often people miss out. We've got a full crew tonight. Okay, we've got Andy. We got Andy, Derek, and Elliot in the chat. Good. Hopefully I'm not echoing for people. Maybe people in the chat can confirm whether I am not. Kyle can edit this part out. This live is it's always Derek and his maniacal smile. Before we continue the show, we'll have John Medina on. Hopefully he's attending some family duties, so he'll either be late or hopefully he'll make it. Hopefully he'll make the show. We might have to go extra late for him to come on, but we do want his take on Ultimate Masters, and but we're definitely gonna get into some standard. But before we do that, gonna talk about our Patreon, patreon.com/firststrike. Things have been sort of like up and down for First Strike over the past year, with basically due to family, other outside of the game commitments, Rob having a second kid, Brian moving all the way to Seattle, and obviously starting the game podcast, joining the game podcast rather with Jerry. So lots of turnover, and finally we solidified with Andy and Derek, and then we added Final Nub just last week. So, and I got married this summer, lots of busy outside of the Magic stuff, but now we finally got a core group to move forward with. And last week we just released from our core group 3 deck guides. We got Andy with the blue-red Drake set that people wanted to hear about because he wanted PPTQ with it. We got Miss Changer, Trophy Master with Golgari. We got his sideboard guide, deck guide. It's not just a sideboard guide. They actually go through their choices and why they're making those choices. They've got 4 different matchups, and on top of that, general notes for the decks themselves. And Final Nub, known for Grishol brand, he provided some modern spice, and he provided his Dredge deck list as well as how he approached different matchups in Modern. And we've already got some early feedback from people in the nation that liked to see that and thought it was pretty in-depth. So while this is a huge draw, I just want to remind people that ultimately the Patreon is for this show. It's despite having a sponsor like Face to compensate somewhat for these gentlemen, the time these gentlemen put in every week for me on the show. We still need more. If we can get Andy a new mic for Christmas, that would be sweet, and stuff like that. So the show is the main focus. So whether it's $1, $5, $10, whatever level, it's a huge boon for us. And for the $10 level, we just wanted to offer something extra, that people would want. And so that's why I definitely tweet about these guides and tweet about them. But some people are turned off because they don't even listen to the show, and they think we're charging $10, just for these guides. But that's not really the point. We're just trying to give back to the people who really support us. So, ideally, if you're a patron of First Strike, you like the show or enjoy the content that we produce, which is essentially the show. So with that out of the way, I had tweeted out Derek a video clip from last week talking about how he could consistently beat almost any deck in Standard with green-black outside of the Phoenix deck. And I was just surprised to see Andy tweet at Derek's hey, green-black probably sucks. Now sucks. And then Derek replying, tweeting back, you're probably right. I was shocked to hear that, but Derek clarified the situation. So
yeah, I just finished streaming, and then I log off and I go to queue up again, and of course I get paired against Andy. And I can't remember if Andy was on the player draw, but he mulls to 5. I keep 4 lands, Squire, Fine Finality, Chupacabra, and proceed to draw land, 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 elf, land, land, squire, land, land. And Andy kills me on, I want to say like turn 7 with 3 phoenixes in play on the Mulda 5. And then game 2 goes pretty good for me. And then game 3, he beats me in a pretty close fashion, I want to say. And then a couple minutes later, I get a nice little mention from Andy. Green black sucks. And in extremely, I want to say sarcastic fashion, but I guess it didn't come across that easily. I said, yeah, probably. Sort of like, can't beat a deck on a Mulda 5. What am I supposed to win against? You know, like, how do I ever expect to win an event if I can't beat a deck on the Mulda 5? And yeah, it seems like everybody from everywhere just got out their phone at that exact moment. I'm pretty sure like Brian was still at work. Like it was probably like, oh, I guess he just like does Patreon stuff all day. So maybe he's just on Twitter too. I don't know. But he was waiting for that moment for somebody to come at me about this deck. And it's like he was watching, you know? But yeah. Anyways, green black is still better than that Phoenix deck. Don't play the Phoenix deck.
The catalyst for me posting that is I was watching Derek stream, and he did not do well in the only league that I watched. And then he shuts his stream off, and immediately I get paired against him. And it wasn't just a Mulda 5. I didn't play land 2 until turn 5. I discarded the hand size.
I just did nothing. I think I went 3-2, 4-1, 2-3, 2-3 today in like the worst possible fashion. Just like my opponents play cards that were good against my deck, and I didn't have the answer that I put the answers in my sideboard for and just didn't draw them. I'm like, wow, I look stupid for not having answers for these cards when I have like 12 of them in my deck. So I go, okay, like I guess I'm just gonna lose like that. And then like I just get paired against Andy and proceeds to Mulda 5. I was like, oh, finally, my time. The Moto gods has presented this gift to me. And then, you know, I get scoreboarded out of anything. So, you know.
So despite the results today, despite your mediocre results, where do you stand on green black? Is it the best deck heading into the Pro Tour this week?
I want to, for the record, say that I honestly believe there's no best deck. I do believe that green black is the best deck to win week to week, but I don't think green black will win every single week. And I was thinking about this before the show. I think that green black, the white weenie decks, and the Phoenix decks are going to be the most represented at the PT, but I don't think any of them are going to actually win the PT. I think it's going to be some other random linear strategy that people don't exactly have on their radar right now, because all these decks are focusing on green black. Green black's focusing on trying to solidifying itself, and then you have these other decks that are just like, I don't care what you guys are doing. If you don't have hate for me, I win. Sort of like the Fog strategy. I think that like Fog is really good against those 3 archetypes specifically. If people aren't prepared for the Fog archetype, Fog can win. But I think Fog in general is significantly worse than it was last season. But it can sort of take over a metagame like that. And I think that's sort of my prediction for this weekend is there's sort of like a rock, paper, scissors metagame going on right now with a bunch of decks trying to beat green black and green black trying to next level them and like losing to the next version that's beating green black. And then you have these random other decks like Mono Red and Jeskai Gate that are winning GPs on the weekend. But like if you look at all the other data in the top 32 deck list, there's no copies of these decks anywhere to be seen, right? So I think that's what's going to be happening this weekend.
Andy, do you agree with that assessment?
I think mono white, or sorry, white weenie splash red is going to win the Pro Tour. I think that people have not had enough time to figure out how to beat it, and there won't be enough lists posted on how to beat it. So like if you looked at the Mox results, that was a hell of a showing. White weenie slash Boros weenie or whatever was, at least in my overview, by far the best performing deck. And there's not going to be another good dump to show everyone how to beat it. So the pros might figure out how to beat it, but they might just play it because people aren't going to be able to take a lot of information from Moto to figure out how to beat it.
So what is this deck? Is it a new one that just like appeared?
It's sort of new. It got people decided to stop playing really awful cards, and then it got shown as a very good deck. It's very consistent and fast.
I think what happened was, so people were trying to play this deck before. It's like early in the format, the red deck was one of the first decks that was sort of popped up because people knew how to build it. And this token deck is like sort of not that great against the red deck because of chain whirlers and like good removal spells. And then you have like the green white deck. Eventually, green black gets found, and everybody sort of gravitates to this mid range grind fest. Soon after that, you have the Phoenix deck sort of pop up, and these Jeskai control decks trying to beat the green black deck. The great thing about this white weenie deck is that it's probably the fastest deck in the format, and I think it consistently beats the Phoenix deck and is consistently good against the Jeskai deck. Although it's like not as good against green black on paper, you can definitely just run them over some amount of time because the deck's very clunky. So I think like the deck isn't necessarily new, but the metagame shifted so much that the white deck went from decent to god awful to one of the better contenders in the format because everything sort of like shook out and found its place. As for power level, I think the deck is like pretty low power level, but like it's very aggressive and very consistent in the way it plays, and not enough people are adjusting yet. So I think that in general, like it steals a lot of games that it probably shouldn't.
Do you like Andy's prediction?
No, I think if there's one thing I've learned about Pro Tours is that they're very sort of inbred metagames, and I think that the moment that someone like me or Andy figures out how good this white weenie deck is, people are going to either play it or put like eight cards in their sideboard for it and just try to beat it, which is like one of the easiest way to beat these white weenie deck, right? Just put 8 cards in your sideboard for it. So I think that that's what people are going to do. And so you're going to see like a couple weenie decks sprinkle through, and who knows, maybe the people playing white weenie don't know how to draft. That's always something you have to think about.
Before we continue on, I don't want to skip over this. So we have to roll this back to your PPTQ win. Congratulations, Andy, for taking it down. Just tell us about your day, your win.
Well, I was going to play a Goblin Electromancer version, but I'd been talking with some very good friends of mine and decided that I would play this version despite not thinking it was better. And then I played in the tournament, and like Enigma Drake was just infinitely better than Goblin Electromancer would be at all times. And I killed so many people with maximized velocity. It was outrageous. They would like stabilize, and there's games I played against green white tokens where I just from no board to 19'd them by just going like Drake velocity at shock you, bring back 2 Phoenixes, kill you. And honestly, the deck was very good. People in my metagame were absolutely not prepared for it. So I just went 3-0 double draw and then 3-0 the top 8, playing white-red goblins in the finals with 3 fiery cannonades, and I cannonaded them off the planet a couple times. But yeah, so I think the deck's very good, and I was very surprised with how good the one-drop cantrips were and how relevant they were. It really came up. I was playing against Rekindling Phoenix, so I'm typically a card very good against the Drake deck, and I just gave all my Drake's first strike. I gave them all trample, and then I just attacked and killed them. So honestly, the deck's very good. I think it has to learn to adjust to this white deck because the deck kind of messes around the first couple turns sometimes. So I think you actually just have to like play more removal in your main deck and maybe play some crazier stuff in the sideboard like dual shot. I do have a dual shot in my sideboard right now. Will it be good? The second I 2-for-1 somebody, you know it's going on Twitter.
Elliot, what's your experience with Standard been?
So I already mentioned in the chat, I've been playing Boros Angels. Before Grand Prix New Jersey, I did a bunch of testing. I played quite a few leagues with Jeskai. I played a couple leagues with some weird decks like Big Red and the Green White Angels deck. And then I was just pretty lost. I checked the deck dump on Thursday when I was at work, and I saw I forget his name, the Moto grinder who won the Mox. Playing White Red Angels. Budakov. Yeah, Budakov playing White Red Angels. I'd played that deck like 3 weeks ago, right at the start of the format. I was like, all right, I'll just register these 20 mythics and see how it works out. I ended up top 16ing Jersey, and I thought the deck was just like obviously incredibly powerful when you ever manage to curve out, and you had just like a free win factor against black green, which was a huge percentage of the metagame last weekend, or sorry, like 2 weekends ago. So I think that was like really the deck you want to be playing then. I ran it back this weekend and it was kind of just okay. And I think going forward, it's probably a bad choice. As the guys were mentioning, I think the Boros Weenie deck's actually like very good. And I don't know how many people are going to be listening to this before they register their decks for the Pro Tour, but if you're unsure, that's like definitely one of the best options you have. If you're playing a PPTQ this weekend and you've played very little standard or unsure, it's a very good deck choice. I don't know if I'd be so bold as to say it'll win the Pro Tour. I guess if you're thinking of registering it, you better hope it's going to win the Pro Tour. But I think it's a super solid choice. It's definitely what I'm considering this weekend. And I think that black green is dead.
Oh, I love it. I definitely like the Elliot and Derek going on. Andy, in the chat between me, you, and Final Nub, I think you said you'd probably say blue-red. Derek might say green-black, but I feel like the consensus seems to be, at least to people at the PPTQ level, to play this new deck.
At a PPTQ, I think it's probably right to play white-red because let's say half of the field pays attention to the Moto metagame. That leaves the other half of the field just having no clue what's going on, and you're going to run them over so fast. And
yeah. If I was a pre-TQ grinder, I'd play Phoenix or white red this weekend. I think green black takes too much hate, and your average player isn't gonna be able to like find those perfect 15 card sideboard cards to beat all the hate, or like be able to beat the mirror consistently enough.
Yeah, I agree. White red, very very good deck. It's like we can mostly all agree that all the decks are similar power level, which is kind of the cool part, best part about the standard. Like all the tier 1 decks, there's none that are head and shoulders above the other, in my opinion.
Yeah, I played Forney on Moto the other day, and he made a comment about having Takali Honor Guard and Mentor the Meek in his deck, and they were in play at the same time. It was just a complete non-bow. And I was like, wow, your deck kind of sucks. He's like, yeah, here's the trick. All the decks suck. And I was like, you were definitely right on that one. And I think that just shows like that's how good this format is. Like I think that makes this format nice, because now I don't have to worry about am I playing the wrong deck, or like it means that all the effort I put in makes better results, I guess.
I did play against someone who had a Takali Honor Guard, and then they cast Siege Gang Commander.
My favorite is against the white decks where they go like play Takali Honor Guard, tap my whole board, play an elephant. It's like, sweet, thank you for not attacking me this turn.
That elephant is one of the weirdest cards I've ever played against. It's so good and so bad at the same time.
That card is literal trash. Every time my opponent casts it, I win in 3 turns because they didn't attack me for a turn. They pump their team for a turn, and I gain 10 life. It's great.
See, what happens to me is they make their X2s X3s, and then I can't cannonade anything.
Oh yeah, my deck only cares about X4s, so that's your problem.
Do you have to update your hugs bet, Derek? What's your prediction for the top 8?
I'm definitely so. I think like if I had to predict something, it'd be like two blue red, 3 tokens, some white, some red white, maybe a green black deck or 2, and then like a random control deck, and maybe some other random archetype, maybe like a mono red deck, like that person's 6-0 and X4 constructed or something. I don't know. Pro tours are very very weird. I was actually having this conversation today with somebody. I think that top 8 deck analyses are like really poor metrics for data, and I think that the Pro Tour actually is one of the worst metrics for data, but has the most amount of influence because the metagame is so inbred on the Pro Tour but so many people see the Pro Tour top 8 as like a good metric for data and start copying these deck lists that it warps the entire metagame down the line. So like you should be able to read this as like, oh, these teams were just playing this deck, or like this guy 6-0 draft or this guy 5-1 draft. He probably shouldn't be in like a constructed top 8 anyways. And then you just have these people just like copying these deck lists, and like it sort of like skews the metagame in like a backwards way than you would expect, right? So I don't know. I'm not very good at Pro Tour guesses, I guess.
that point reminds me of like every time Shota Yasuoka top 8's a Pro Tour, just 0 people copy his deck list. If they just move on like it never happened.
Yeah, it doesn't gain that huge of popularity, though. Pretty sure I've played a few of his decks. Man,
I think people just understand that he just snipes metagames at the Pro Tour and builds his deck just for one event, and the next week he's not playing that deck either.
Or like the control sociopaths that like copy a Wafo Topo deck, whereas like Wafo Topo like went X3 and constructed, and it's like, man, you broke control, and then you see no control in the top 8 of any GP for the rest of the season. It's like, yeah, like nobody else is playing these random like one of sensor in their decks, right? Because they're not insane. Like, come on, get it together.
So one last thing about the PT. I wish, of course, team face-to-face games well, especially Edgar and the gang, Shaheen and the gang, Ely and the gang. We have so many friends, so many people that have been on the show, some multiple times. And it was also cool to see Edgar crush once again this past GP. Fortunately, he didn't have a great day to make it to top 8, but he showed off some impressive play on camera, so much so it prompted David Rude, your friend, Derek. I don't know if you saw this. I think he tweeted it on Facebook or he messaged me that he's got to be the top Canadian constructed player right now. That's how much praise Rude had.
I think, and it was very, very weird because, like I agree with Rude to an extent. When he sent me that message, I was like, man, you got to calm down. Like Edgar's really good with this deck. Edgar's probably played more hours with this deck than anybody in the entire world. And like, if he's not making these plays, he's a donkey. Like I would take Edgar off like my top 5 Canadian list in a heartbeat if he wasn't winning this match. You know what I mean? And like, not to talk down on Edgar, but I honestly believe that he should win that match no matter what, if he's putting this amount of time and effort in. And D-Rude like comes off the deep end and is like, whoa, like I was blown away with these plays. I'm like, man, D-Rude, like, you got to assume that if these people aren't making these plays, that they're just god awful at Magic. You know, like there's no chance you play this amount of Magic and you're this bad, right? Like I don't know. I wouldn't go as far as saying like Edgar's the best Canadian constructed Magic player. Maybe we'll see after the PT, you know, or after a couple of weeks after Milwaukee or whatever. But I don't know.
Elliot, did you tweet that or someone else tweet that?
No, that's the David Rude tweet.
Oh, yeah. David Rude said, damn, I'm going to say it. At Edgar MTG is a beast. Basically told him to take that advantage bar and shove it up your ass. And we've seen other people, when the match was going, it was like, holy crap. I saw a lot of these tweets going on my feed. And so excited for Edgar. Wish he top 8'd again. But anyways, he's likely going to have, hopefully, a strong PT performance. I look forward to that. I gotta have D-Rude back on the show if he's gonna throw in some like hyperbole stuff that we love here on this show. Yeah, moving on to today, where they finally announced the sentencing, the banning amount time for Dan Lantier, and wanted to get Andy's take first. 3 years. The early reaction for some people were like, man, finally, it's like the longest in recent memory, if not ever. I think someone in the game Discord I was chatting with said Betcher had more, like 4 years or something, and Lantier gets 3. But others are like, there's no consistency, and a lot of animated pictures of dartboards and were on Twitter. What's your assessment, Andy? Your first strike at this?
Well, I would rather he be gone forever. But that's exactly what the great murder king himself, Dan Lantier, would have wanted. But 3 years is better than I assumed he was going to get, so I guess I'll take it. I thought he was going to get 1.5. So this is twice as long as I had predicted. But hopefully it just deters him and he'll never come back.
Elliot?
So credit where credit's due. I'm stealing this quote from Cale Thompson, who said that Watsy wanted to give him 6 months and he asked for a permanent suspension, so he split it right down the middle and gave him 3 years, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. I was actually hanging out in Derek's chat when he was streaming when I found out that it was a 3-year ban, and kind of my first reaction was, it's like 3 years is basically a permanent ban anyway. Like I think there's 0% chance that he comes back after 3 years and tries to keep playing Magic, especially keep playing Magic at like a high level. Like, you know, if he wants to draft at FNM in 4 years down the line, I don't really care. But at this point, like, any career that he has or tries to have down the line is just totally dead. So I'm fine with him getting 3 years. Obviously, I wish it was longer, but you win some, you lose some.
Derek, what was the early reaction from your chat or yourself?
Somebody mentioned it in chat. I was like, oh, 3 years? That's a long time. Like, I didn't think he was going to get 3 years. I thought he was going to get like 18 months or maybe like 2 years or something. 3 years, I think, is a good sentence. I'm happy about that one. I don't know if they've ever banned anybody for a non-violent, like extreme threatening circumstance that I know of. So like, I think 3 years is like the cap that they normally give for things like cheating and stuff. So I think like that's good for me. 3 years is a long time. Yeah.
And there was other news. Was there any controversial names that popped up?
There was that. I actually don't know the kid, but his chat says his name is Aiden Breyer. I read about this on Twitter. Supposedly, from what I've read and what I've investigated, he got a year suspension for having counterfeits in his deck, but the deck that had the counterfeits was a borrowed deck and wasn't actually his cards. And I also read that people don't normally get year suspensions for things like counterfeits unless the judge believes that they were there on purpose. So I think that somehow the judge must have believed that. Supposedly, like, he has no past offenses, no other problems. He's done events with charity and stuff from what I've read on Twitter. Personally, it sounds like maybe there was a bit of a misstep or a mistake, or there is a miscommunication in the judge report. Like, I think if you find counterfeits in somebody's deck, they should be disqualified, whether they're purposely there or not. The disqualification, on the other hand, is something that DCI should handle themselves. And obviously an investigation was happened, and they came to this conclusion, but I think something went wrong along the ways.
Okay, I think John's on his way, so let's approach some of these Ultimate Masters topics, namely the GP that's coming up in Vancouver. We had, the final nub, our boy, a little disappointed about the fact that, man, I don't even remember the details of this that clearly, but GP Las Vegas didn't go well. At some point, I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, DCI reporter crashed or something, and they had to reboot and took a long time to fix the event, so much so that day one ended like well past 10 p.m. And some people, or maybe I guess all participants, were given a golden ticket that they can use to cash in to enter another GP. And John had decided to cash it in for GP Detroit. And now we find out that you could have cashed it in for a more high value event, which is Vancouver for Ultimate Masters. And we've got a mutual friend called Warren Smith who confirmed on Facebook that, yep, he was able to register with a golden ticket, which leaves a lot of feel bad for John for final nub. So Andy, what do you think about this? What do you feel for Final Nub?
I don't know, like, not really, like, because it's already insane that they're letting anybody use their free roll on this like 1.5x the price GP. It's like all upside that Final Nub missed out on, I guess, but whatever. He was gonna go anyway. He should have seen it coming.
Should have seen it coming. John Stern said, I get that some people are excited about UMA and $50 drafts, but it would be nice if announced formats weren't changed after people have booked flights and made plans to attend a premier event. And to that, Eric Froelich said, it's real bad. Sammy T, I wonder if Air Canada will take that excuse so I can cancel my flight. So a lot of people unhappy with this late announcement. And would you say this is more justifiable than Final Nub's complaint, Andy?
Sorry, pardon?
He's talking about the change in format.
Oh, the change in the format.
So late before the GP, because it's like a GP.
It's rough because GP Vancouver, as it was, would have been like, I feel like it would have just been one of the lowest attended GPs in a long time. I don't think it's like a great location for a GP. So them switching it up to hopefully like get more people coming, like having this crazy format there is kind of a cool thing, but it really does suck for people who already booked a flight. Like I don't feel too bad that it's $50 more because whatever, if you're paying for a flight to this place and eating out all weekend, $50 more doesn't suck, but it does suck for some people. But overall, I would say that, I don't know. I wish they wouldn't do it, but I see that they're trying to make sure that it's a successful event, because I was really doubting its success if it was like limited or team limited, just a normal one.
Derek, any chance you would ever go to this, or are you planning to go?
No, like flights to Vancouver are just way too expensive, and like I could probably fly to England for cheaper. I don't know if I actually can, but I think I'd rather fly to England, even if it was like within $200. It's like not really worth it for me to fly to Vancouver. Not to mention, like, there's not really much going on out in Vancouver that I know, and yeah, I can't imagine. I just like Ontario's where it's at in Canada. What? Sorry.
All you do is praise Montreal every chance we mention.
Montreal is just like better Ontario. Like Montreal's not even part of Quebec. Like the majority of people don't speak French. Okay, maybe not the majority. That was a bad statement. A good amount of people just speak English. Like I talked to at least 10 people trying to get a coffee, and they're like, I don't even speak French. I'm like, hey, me neither, you know? Like, why do you live in Montreal? But yeah, I don't know. Like they have GPs in Calgary, and there's not a lot going on out there. And then they have GPs in like, they had one in Quebec City, and that was kind of garbage. It was way too cold. And they have some in Vancouver, and like that's neat. But like, I wouldn't go out to Vancouver for them. So
Andy says that there's a chance that they might salvage or increase whatever attendance they might have had. Do you see it that way? I've seen like even in the game Discord, the activity, there's some people are like, man, do I have to register right away? Is it going to get sold out? Any thoughts on that from you, Derek or Elliot?
I think if you're going to a UMA GP, you are not a competitive player. And it would not matter whether that was a GP or they would probably just buy an extra box of UMA anyways, right? So like, I don't know if it actually raises the demand for the GP, because the competitive players who now see that it's UMA are like, I'm not going, I don't want to go play UMA. And then you have these like ADH players like, oh my God, a UMA GP? Did you know that I could get like this, you know, I could get a Caracas, I could play a Caracas Unlimited. Like, what? You're just like paying $500 to play Caracas Unlimited. Is that fun to you? No. Like, why are people doing this? This is ridiculous. Like, this is like the worst experience ever. I don't know why they would make this a GP format.
Elliot, do you agree?
I think it's actually pretty harmless that they switched it to UMA. I think that the people who get to play UMA are going to be really excited now. I think that the percentage of people who are affected by like like you said, John Stern tweeted and Sammy T replied, like the percentage of people who have booked their flight 2 months in advance and like are not just going for the kicks of going to play a limited Grand Prix or playing a Grand Prix in general, like it's just so small. And I feel like, especially with how GPs are now, you have the PTQ on day 2, you have like double up events on the Friday and the Saturday, where if you're like, sort of mid-range player where maybe UMA isn't interesting you and you just want to go and play a Grand Prix and try to win some money kind of thing, you can play the double ups, you can play the PTQ and get your shot at the Pro Tour then. And if you're either like a pro who's trying to get pro points to maintain their status, then you're going to play the main event no matter what format it is. It's not a very good excuse. And if you're on the other way, all the other way side of the spectrum, like Derek was saying, where you're a commander player who wants to open their Caracas for their EDH deck, then you can play the Magic Fest Vancouver and open your UMA packs. And not to mention, $150 Canadian is a lot for a Grand Prix, but I crunched the numbers, and it's actually a fantastic deal. If you were to take the entry that it cost me to enter GP Montreal and just like add in the additional cost of the UMA boosters, I'd be paying $190. So all of a sudden, they're giving away $40 for free.
You get $40. You win $40. $40 goes into your pocket.
Yeah.
You also get the playmat. You get the playmat.
The playmat's nice. They have some nice benefits.
Why can't I play GP Vancouver every weekend? This is insane.
I just think that for the bulk of players, either it doesn't really matter that they don't get to play the Grand Prix because they get the experience of going to that event anyway, or they're going to think it's really cool to play this super hype master set. We've seen 40 cards, and all 40 cards rock. I can't wait to get into that later. This set's going to be awesome.
You're such a casual. Oh my gosh.
It hurts me to my core to agree with Elliot, but like 150 CAD is just not much more than a standard GP. Like I would expect to pay like 120 CAD for a sealed GP.
Yeah, so, like I paid 90 Canadian dollars to enter Grand Prix Montreal. After the conversion, I paid like 94 Canadian dollars to enter Grand Prix New Jersey. Paying $150 for a Masters set, not to mention a Masters set that's more expensive than our standard one, seems pretty good.
Yeah, Derek's too competitive for the Grand Prix scene anyway. All he wants to do is play $100 heads-up matches in the basement of Lucas Sio's house or something.
What? No, don't associate me with them. Come on now. I just like GPs are just so overrated right now. I think like they need to change a bunch of things for me to enjoy them, for the main event, for the side events, for all this stuff. Like if I was looking at value to play a GP, I would just play side events. Like everybody knows that the values are in the winner boxes, are in the challenges, are in those like weekend passes. I'm trying to play a GP so I can queue for the tour and get on the train. I don't want to do that at a UMA GP. This is like waste my time 2018, you know? It's like, it just seems like a waste of equity.
Elliot, online, has there actually been a lot of people, I haven't seen it on my feed, a lot of people complaining about Modern in general? Is that the general sense that people are getting? And what's your take on that?
Oh, for Modern? I think that people are always complaining about Modern. It's sort of just like comes with the state of the format where 50% of the people are going to say that Modern's at its best and 50% of the people are saying that Modern's unplayable in an unsalvageable format. I think it was maybe particularly bad with Creeping Chill getting printed because Dredge is like always one of the most annoying and worst decks to play against because interacting with it is so polar. And my take, and I posted this in the First Strike Nation, so basically I think that Modern should either be the Wild West where we allow everything, or Modern should be like Super Policed where we ban a bunch of things. And right now I think it's a lot closer to that first one where it's like the Wild West, and I think that's fine. You know, people who come out and play Modern have that expectation. They're going to get to do their thing. If their deck functions, they're going to turn 3 or 4 kill and do their cool thing. And if it doesn't, they're going to get turned 3 or 4 killed by a cool thing. And if that's the magic you want to play, more power to you. If you don't, then Standard exists. Go play that.
Yeah, I don't think Modern is salvageable. I don't think Modern can ever be what like I want it to be. So I think just let it be whatever the hell it is. People love it.
I think that's super unfortunate because like the more and more I watch Modern, the more I actually think of like when I used to play Commander before I got competitive, and it's just like, oh, I have 5 degenerate combos in my deck, and you better hope you stop me, or else we're gonna sit here for 20 minutes while I go off, and you're gonna have to play Commander with me. But that's the format, you know, and you can't go to a GP without like playing against Lantern or playing against Amulet or playing against Blood Moon or playing against Dredge. And you're like, oh, I have all these humans in my deck and I have this super sweet synergy, but I'm actually playing the fair deck and I just get run over, you know? It's not fun for me.
Yeah, it's like not great as a competitive format, but it is actually very fun to watch. It's like it's very fun to watch and it's very fun for casual people, which is like means that it's never going away. Like when you watch Modern, you're like, all right, this guy's got these 2 cards in play. If he gets the 3rd piece of Exodia, it's over. And the other guy's like, well, he has this 1 piece of interaction, and then he's gonna put together Exodia. And that's kind of Modern. And it's exciting to watch because you get to watch people die all at once for the most part, and people love it. People can't get enough of that stuff.
Yeah, I have the Modern RPT coming up next month. I kind of have no idea what I'm going to play. My friend recently sent me a blue-white control deck that had 3 Rest in Pieces in the main deck. So if that's allowed to work in Modern, then maybe Modern is a treat. If you wanted to move Modern to a more heavily policed thing and I don't know, ban some Dredgers, ban Blood Moon and Staring Ridge, I don't know. Then like maybe people will enjoy it a little less, but more people will enjoy it at that lower level. Maybe that's better. I don't know. I'm just gonna end up getting very frustrated for a very long time and probably end up trying to do the most broken thing. Modern's fun.
Maybe the key is to just make a new format for the people who don't love Modern, where it's just only Jund mirrors, where you have to register the same 75s and slap it against each other. And that's the whole format.
Imagine paying $100 for a GP to go play the same 75 against somebody for 15 rounds, and then you can just complain the entire time that you got unlucky. Oh my gosh, they made this for
GP
me.
Jund.
Oh my gosh, oh, I can't wait for this format. Please, can we have some more? Oh, I would pay $200 for this. This is my source of entertainment. Oh my gosh.
They just need to make a Jund Masters set where it's a sealed format, but like you just get a Jund deck every time.
No, Jund Masters too small. It needs to be just mid range. You just like gamble on what mid range deck you're gonna get from the
mid-range Masters. You're like, I opened 4 Lingering Souls, baby.
I have a dual land. I'm gonna play it. 2 for 1s, 2 for 1s.
Yeah, I've got 30 removal spells in my pool.
I got the busted mythic, guys. Bloodbraid Elf.
I have 1 win condition. 40 ways to bring it back.
Dude, my pool's garbage. I got 4 Thoughtseize and 4 Inquisitions. I'm never gonna win the mirror.
All right. Medina's still on his way, so we're gonna take a question from First Strike Nation member
Finance.
Aaron Evenson. If I butchered your last name, please tweet at me. It's for all of us, and might take us a bit of time to answer. What is one thing he wants to know? What is one thing you contribute the most to your growing as a Magic player, and what advice would you have for someone wanting to improve? This is a recurring question, I feel, and it's really tough to answer with just like one specific thing. I don't know. Elliot just seems like he's got an answer already. That face.
Well, it was super easy for me. What I did is I got to become friends with Andy, and then I attached onto Kale, like one of those weird things that suck onto sharks. And I would just ask him a bunch of dumb questions like every single day, and eventually he would start answering some of them. And then I just got kind of good at Magic by just being around better players. And I think that's like a tool that not everyone has available to them, but I've seen like a big uptick in coaching available by like kind of SCG people. So if you're looking to get better at Magic and you don't have like a support group of good Magic players around you, that's something to look into. Yeah, try playing with people that are better than you.
Yeah, those fish are called shark suckers, or remora. I think remora is also called a sucker fish. So you could be like a Mystic Remora.
Yeah, I'm a big sucker fish.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say that. I thought that would be pretty offensive if I said that to your face. But you calling yourself that is fine, I think, in this day and age. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I do think Elliot is correct that, like, I think a lot of it has to do with putting like aside any ego you've garnered with like whatever middling success you've had, and just understanding that you could probably learn something from everybody, and you can learn even more from people who are better than you. So you should just always be asking questions. And I struggle with this at times too. Is like when someone brings up a new idea, if I don't think it's very good, sometimes I will dismiss it, and that's certainly like a weakness of mine. And I think it's important to sort of consider everything, even for a little bit, as much as you can. Like, obviously, you don't want to waste your time on like horrifically bad ideas, but also you don't want to miss really good ideas. So trying to balance that intake of information is actually pretty difficult. But I think it helps when you do it with players who are better around you. Like, I'm lucky that I hang around with a lot of pretty good players, and we play Magic essentially together every single day via like the internet. We just play on Discord and Google Hangouts, and we do it every day.
All right, we got John on the show, but we're gonna finish this question, but just gonna make sure that we can hear him. John,
it looks like can you hear me?
You look like frozen right there. We can hear you. All right.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Barely, dude. Barely.
Oh my god. All right. You're gonna fix your audio while we wrap up this question. Derek, what's your answer to this gentleman?
I think what the first thing is you have to identify what skill level you're at. So you have to know what you're already good at, and then figure out what you're bad at. Because like you can play with good players all you want, which I think is a very good thing that you should be doing. But you have to realize what you should be working on. So like if you're really good at deck building, maybe you need to work at your gameplay. Or if you're really good at gameplay, maybe you really need to work on deck building, or maybe you really need to work on deck selection. One of the things that I found recently, actually, that Keith and Edgar have helped me with is card evaluation and understanding why I put certain cards in my deck and why I play them, instead of just being like, oh, well, this card's a removal spell or this card's a bomb sort of thing. Sort of like evaluating different cards in a different angle. And I think like asking questions is great, but also like trying to come to your own conclusions about why you want to be playing certain cards is also important. Because you're definitely going to be put in situations where somebody might not have the correct answer. Or like in Limited, for example, you're drafting and you have to like come to your own conclusion about something. I think like if you can evaluate where your skill level is at, you can figure out what you need to improve on quicker than just asking people questions and hoping to get the right answer all the time. I mean, that works.
All right, I'll wrap it up with this answer makes me think of Elliot and a discussion about a specific card. I forget what it was on the show. It was like sort of controversial, but I think I was the only one to get Elliot and to be on his side. But for me, improving, it felt good to improve when I could concretely say exactly what concept or which concept I learned or which concept I've increased my understanding in. And the example that really comes to mind, and that's related to Elliot, was Card Advantage and Virtual Card Advantage. And thinking about those, and because I used to panic all the time because of maybe other cards games I've played where I was so scared of being 2-for-1, and I was trying to get 2-for-1s at all costs. But then it evolved into like, hey, not all cards are the same value. You don't have to be that afraid. Then it evolved to like, okay, your opponent drawing certain cards at a certain time, it's more valuable depending on the situation. So, for example, lands that they draw off the top late in the game, for some decks, it might be completely worthless, or in some cases, limited, completely worthless for them. So you shouldn't be that scared. And then there's that out that maybe they just brick on a bunch of lands. So, like, thinking about all these concepts and be able to just right now just talk over like how I evolve my thinking of them makes me like, because it just shows it's not just a guess. I know that my understanding of these concepts have improved. And so again, I forgot what the card we're debating over. Elliot, but shout out to you.
It must have been one of the surveil cards, like a Sinister
Oh,
Sabotage.
yeah, it was
No, it was Doom Whisperer.
Doom
We
Whisperer.
were arguing about Doom Whisperer.
Activating it is like almost drawing a card.
Yeah, you said if I pay 2 life, I'm drawing a card. And I said, that's not how that works. Even if you mill 2 cards off the top of your library like a couple times, you're not drawing a card. You're just like, if it just dies, like sometimes you'll get value out of it. And you're like, nope, every time, draw 5 cards, surveil 1,000,000. I have 40 life always, I blame Commander.
Look,
And-
I begged Canister to explain virtual card advantage to you, and he said you were just too dumb. So here.
Listen, if Canister can't win a GP, he's obviously not smart enough to teach me anything. Okay? So that's the facts right there.
All right, now without further ado, we finally get to introduce my man, who is now the list of banned words that I had banned for him is now lifted for tonight. Words, or they finance, money, and something else.
And Jay Bush, I think it was.
And successful are words that he can now add to his vocab, using his vocabulary tonight. Welcome, finance expert, all-around amazing guy, Jonathan Medina, to the show. Welcome back.
Hey, what's up? What's up? Thanks for having me on, man. First Strike Nation, strong. Sorry I'm so late. I had some stuff going on, so really apologize for that.
So we've just like saved up this moment to talk Ultimate Masters. We haven't said much outside of the GP change and how it affected people like John Stern and Eric Froelich and Sammy T, where we're of course unhappy with the situation. But let's focus on the set itself. It dropped. The news dropped on Monday. WotC talked about how this was the last Masters, I guess, for a while, so they want to leave it with a big bang.
Right.
Early reaction, John. Like, did you know this was coming?
So first of all, I didn't know it was coming. I'm pulling up my notes here from the press conference or whatever they had. They said, man, what was the words? They said this really neat phrase about the Ultimate Masters, like something like we're pulling out all the stops or something like that. So what we found out was this weekend people were getting those box topper cards, right? There's a lot of mystery around those cards. We didn't know what the distribution would be. Some of those cards were going really high, like hundreds of dollars, because people just wanted it and they didn't know what it was, or and so they jumped the guns, bought those things. I think some of those orders will be canceled now because now we know those come in every box, right? So it's kind of funny that happened. But so we didn't know what happened till Monday. This came out. They went through all the box toppers, which is there's 40 of them. 20 of those are mythic rares. And then 2 are uncommon, and then I'm really bad at math. I think it's 18 rares, right? Or something like that, whatever was left. And so that's what we know about the set, okay? Now, there's a lot of people like not happy about the set. It's just like, I'm scratching my head because I'm like, wow, this set looks like it's going to be like off the chain EV, like, why would you not just buy all this stuff, But there's some people who are like, oh man, I'm not happy. The money, it's so expensive. Because one thing that Wizards did do is they raised the MSRP. So the MSRP right now is $335 or something like that per box. And so to me, like, that doesn't matter because it's like, first of all, who cares, right? Either the MSRP doesn't matter because either they're gonna book, it's gonna be above the MSRP or it's gonna be below the MSRP. It's really rarely ever gonna be the MSRP, right? And so what we're already seeing out the gate is that these boxes are selling for like as low as $225, which is like $110 lower than MSRP. So like, why is everybody crying? It's like, there's no problem here. The set. So when I say it's packed with EV, is like somebody said, not only the person that you sent me a DM. I'm not going to name the guy, right? But the guy you sent me the DMs is like, oh yeah, we don't know anything about the set. Well, we know plenty about the set, right? We know, first of all, it comes with a lottery card in every box, right? And so like the lowest of those lottery cards is like what? Lava Claw Reaches, right? So Lava Claw Reaches at this foil, with this foil treatment, is what? At the lowest, like, probably when the set settles and everything's said and done, it's probably be like a $35 card, okay? But like right now, when the set comes out, it'll probably be like a $50 card or a $60 card. So that's like $50 on the EV already. So say you buy a box at $225, right? the lowest like box topper you're gonna get is like $50, right? And that's like the lowest. If you get like a demonic tutor, then it's like 250 or $300, right? That's like the whole box. The whole box is paid for. Okay, it's like it's done. It's over. You made money already with that box topper. But let's pretend 50. Okay, so you open this box topper, you get $50. So now you've bought this box for $175, right? If you got them for $225. Now, not everyone's getting them at $225 right now. Like the average is $299, still below MSRP. So like, you're getting it for $250 the box, and they have all these great mythics, and the mythics are okay. Maybe I shouldn't have led with that because that's a problem, right? Not everybody opens mythics, right? So the mythics, you can't judge the EV of a box based on the mythics. The thing that like the EV of the box, the power is in the rares. Okay, now the uncommons, they're great, but what usually happens with uncommons, when you get power uncommons in a set like this, they just drop in price, like they just get washed out, right? So, and it happens so fast that those uncommons don't get to really hold the value of the box, okay? But the rares, those erode slowly. So you got stuff like Demonic Tutor at rare. That's like a $40, it was a $40 card. What is it now? I don't know, $35, $30 maybe as it starts to fall down. But still, like something that's $40 at the rare slot, Celestial Colonnade, another that was like $50, all of these things at the rare slot are going to prop up the box of the value of the box. And this happened with Guilds of Ravnica. Okay, so my friend, I had this little talk with him. Maybe I shouldn't go into too much details, but we were discussing him getting me some boxes, okay? And I'm like, yeah, I want them all. I want all the Guilds of Ravnica boxes. And he's like, well, why, man? They're all the sets that Wizards releases, they're terrible, And I'm just like, stop being a naysayer, dude. I'm like, look, there's a rare land cycle. There's shock lands, okay? Shock lands are in the rare slot. They're going to hold up the value. Then you had Assassin's Trophy for $25. And I'm like, even that alone, Shocklands at a $25 rare is going to prop up that box value. Now we're looking at this Masters. Okay, yeah, the box is much more expensive, but look at all the expensive rares we have in here. So, like, I don't know, I don't get it. Like, why is everybody sad? It's like and Wizards is just going to dump a bunch of stuff in there because they want this to be successful. That's the thing people are missing. They want this to be successful. The thing is like, Wizard says this is the last master set that we're going to put for a while. Okay, so do they want the last master set to suck? No, they don't. They don't want you to remember the last master set was a disaster, like Iconic Masters or something. So they're just going to like overdo it. They're just going to be like, let's just cram it all in there. Put the box topper, throw in there's 20 mythics. That's unusual. Did you know that? Because usually there's 15. Why they put 20? There's 20 mythics in this set. They put an extra 5 cards so that they could put more mythics, and I kind of have a theory about it. I don't know if this is going to happen, but wouldn't it be cool if there's 20 mythics so that the mythic rarity is shifted? So maybe there's not one in every 8 packs. Maybe there's one in every 6 packs. Like, whoa, wouldn't that would be insane. Now, no, don't get excited. Okay, I don't have any like real information about that, but it made me scratch my head. I'm like, wait, 20 mythics? That's unusual. Why would they do that? So okay, I'm gonna stop talking so you guys can jump in because I want to hear questions and thoughts about what I just said.
Too good. This is too good. Too good. You going on your rant as well as Derek, all caps, some of my banned words like finance, and then throwing in stuff like GDP and stuff like that. ROI.
ROI.
Shout out to Derek. Wow, the energy's high. Quick question. One of the trending topics on Reddit is that the
Reddit. Oh, okay.
The box toppers are searchable, like you can see through them. People are like warning not to buy them from like eBay or anything.
Yeah. Insert paranoia. Everything is searched. Yeah. I mean, you could probably. I saw a video. I think James Chilcott, Magic Finance guru. He showed. I just do it. I'm shooting a little shout out there to him. He's got great content. He showed a video of somebody searching and being able to see what's in there. So yeah, don't buy sealed box toppers, but don't do that anyways. Like, why are you buying sealed box toppers? Like, how much are you spending? Like, what are you going to spend $100 on a box topper? Why not just buy a box for $225 or $250? Like, Forget about the box topper, man. It comes in the box. Like, don't spend money on that. Buy the box.
Some of these boxes that you're getting at 200-ish price, do you expect some of them to be canceled?
Yeah, definitely. Because, well, okay, whoa, let's chill out a second. Maybe not, okay? But what I'm hearing, okay, is low allocations. But then I'm hearing a bunch of other stuff, and nobody really knows, okay? We don't know what the allocations are, what the print run is. If it's a short print run and there's small allocations, which means an allocation means, hey, if you have a store, you can only have this many of the boxes, okay? That's all you get. And if that happens, then a lot of these things will be canceled because these guys pre-sold a bunch of them. And then they said, oh, well, you can only have 60 boxes. Well, okay, everybody who above 60 is just going to get canceled. And when that happens, like mass panic is going to happen because, you know, everyone just thinks this stuff is just going to come from trees, you know, just falling from the air. And if there's low distribution, then, you know, it's going to be hard to get. It's going to be very expensive. And so, you know, that, but we don't know. Like the real answer is we don't know. But the only thing that's dangerous, right, is that I guess both sides are dangerous, but depending on where you're at, right? The danger comes if there's low distribution and you wanted to get a cheap box, okay? Then, you know, maybe you should be planning to get a cheap box now, okay? But if there's high distribution, the danger comes in the singles, in the EV, right? Because the plan is get the box cheap, open it up and sell all the stuff inside and then make money, right? But if there's all kinds of boxes, then the price of the box is going to be low. Everyone's going to open the boxes. All these singles are going to hit the market and everyone's going to race to the bottom to try to sell it so they're not holding the hot potato. And then, you know, all those singles are going to get washed out. Okay, so the window, it's a window situation. With a low allocation, the window is much bigger. That means you can sell those singles slowly, get your money back. You don't have to race to the bottom. If the allocation is big and there's a lot of it, then the window's really small. Like everyone's trying to jam that stuff to get the money out, you know. And then what'll happen is a big crash. Boom! All those singles will go down, and then everyone will get the money they're going to get. And then people are going to be like, hey, but wait a second, I want a demonic tutor. Or, hey, I need colonnades. I still need 4 colonnades. Like, and then the prices are just going to start going back up on that stuff, right? Because people still want to play Magic. That's the thing. That's a big problem. People like to play, you know.
Derek, I got to have you chime in here.
I just can't imagine spending money on Magic cards. And I think, like, MTG Finance is one of the most, like, random things that people buy into consistently that makes no absolute sense for the most part. And I just, like, yeah, I'm just blown away. Like,
why do you think it makes no sense? Like, the cards are worth money. Wouldn't it make sense?
I remember before I got, like, fairly competitive, I used to play a lot of Commander. Like, that's what we play. We'd get together like 2 or 3 times a week and play Commander. And I looked up the price of Greater Good, and it was $20.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, why is this card $20? And I, like, looked at a price graph, and it had gone up to $20 in, like, 2 weeks from, like, literal $3 because somebody bought it out. And I was like, oh, I want this card. I don't want to spend $20 on it. And so I didn't buy one. And then a couple months later, it fell back down. And I was like, this makes absolutely no sense. Everybody's like, oh, well, supply and demand says that if I buy a bunch of Greater Goods, they'll go up and then people will want them. It's like, yeah, but now they're $3. Like, you just prevented me from buying one so I could play it. Like, at the end of the day, I'm still just trying to play these cards, right? Like, people are like using these as stocks when they just print another Masters set, the price of Goyf drops in half and people are complaining. And it's like the MTG Finance guys are, like, all over the place, like, oh my gosh, why would Wizards sewer me like this? It's like, oh my gosh, MTG Finance isn't a real thing. It's like, what is going on, you know?
Well, the Greater Good dropped because of Battle Bond, right? Battle Bond got printed. This same thing we were talking about, where something gets printed and then it drops the price of a card. So when you have something like Greater Good that was only printed in some low print run sets, like I think it was like 9th edition or 8th edition, which are core sets, very low print run. And then you have, like, I think it was Legions, or was it Legions or some other set, which is old. Any set that's like before, like, Magic booming, those were like really short. They were really printed less because less people played. And so whenever you have a commander card, as a commander player or an ex-commander player, you should know that, hey, commander cards go into commander players' collections and they don't come out. They just they build other decks. They just absorb cards. And so when you have like a commander card like Greater Good, their commander players are just absorbing it. And until somebody gets it, until they reprint it like at a high pace, then that card's not going to drop. So that's just what happened there. I mean, some people want to say, and you're one of them, and that's fine. Magic Finance doesn't exist. I don't really care about Magic Finance. I don't care. You want to call it Magic Finance or whatever. Here's the thing that exists, right? Cards are worth money. That exists. Okay. I buy and sell cards because they're worth money. That exists. Some people, they pay their rent with those cards. They tell me, hey, Medina, I need to sell my cards because I need to pay some rent. Here's some cards, and I give them money for rent. Is that Magic Finance? I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. Okay, it's an exchange of goods. So
on this episode of First Strike, nobody knows what Magic Finance is. Is finance just a word that's thrown around? Maybe. Woo!
I think what it is it's a subculture where people find a new way to identify with Magic that is not playing the game. It's understanding the market and the trends, and they geek out on that, and that's fine, right? It's fine. Does it affect you? Do you feel like it affects you as a player?
No, it affects me next to zero. It seems to me like finance is another one of those pockets of Magic where you get those people that go, actually, Greater Good was worth $25 and I bought them for $5. And look at this price boom. You should have bought them. It's like, oh man, I don't want to deal with this. I just want to attack and kill my opponent and X3 this GP, It's just another annoying part of Magic that I don't want to deal with. Especially
Isn't it like those guys though, or those people, right? Those players who go, what's your record? 6-0. Well, there's 3 rounds. Yeah, yes. I 2-0'd all my matches.
It's exactly like that.
Okay, it's like that, right? So even every echelon of the player base or the user base, I guess you call it, right? Because we all use Magic cards, we don't all play them. Has that kind of annoying side to it, And I could see that, It's like we all stake our identity on something, right? And we want to be right about the thing we put our identity in, right? So if we say, I'm a Magic Finance guy, then you got to know, man, that Greater Good was $25, not $20, and then you have to point it out because that's how you, put your identity out there. So I understand that, man,
I can't wait for all the finance people that are going to be listening to this podcast for you, just to hear my stupid opinion. And they're going to be like, actually, Magic's great for finance. Did you know that the
Magic is great for finance, but is Magic Finance great for Magic? We don't know. That's the question, right?
How do you feel about the reserve list? Oh, let's get on that
one. I don't have strong feelings either way about the reserve list. To me, it is what it is.
You have to have strong feelings right now. You have to make an extreme statement right now about it.
Okay, the reserve list is a big deal in Magic Finance because people like things easy. Okay, so Magic Finance guys look at the reserve list and go, "Hey, Wizards isn't reprinting these cards. That means we could just buy them and they're just going to be worth infinite, right?" So that's an easy thing, right? It's so easy. Hey, these cards aren't going to be reprinted. Let's just buy them. So I think what's at play is there's different sides of Magic Finance. Some you have the speculators, right? The people who are saying, who like you said, treat them like stocks, right? Oh, is this card going to go up? Is this card going to go down? And when you have the speculators look at the reserve list, that's like ice cream with chocolate on top because it's perfect for them. It's not going to get reprinted. For me, the side of Magic Finance that I do is not really speculation. It's just mathematics, okay? I buy the cards at half price. I sell them at full price, or actually, 90% or 75% of the value, whatever. It's mathematics, right? I don't care if a card is going to go up. I don't care if it's going to go down. All I care about is what is the buy list price. I will buy it for that, and then I will resell it for a higher price. Now, sometimes I will hold cards because I'm like, wait a second, Greater Good is $3. I'm not going to sell that for $3. I'm going to throw that in a box and I'm going to wait till it's $6, Okay, sometimes I do that, but that's just common sense. You're not going to go and start selling, I don't know what the latest one is, Lotus. What's the one out of Dominaria? Gilded Lotus, right? is like $1 or $2 right now. I'm not gonna go sell Gilded Lotuses for $1 because it's like a $10 card. So I'm just gonna wait till it's $5, and I'm gonna take those ones that I have in a box that I opened when I opened the Dominaria stuff, and I'm just gonna put them back in the market when that happens. So that's not, to me, that's not speculation. That's just common sense. But I mean, some people just like all they do is buy cards at full price and hope that it will go up. So I don't know, reserve list, whatever. Who cares?
John, why do you sound to me like last time you were on the show, we were talking about like maybe Eternal Masters or something, and you were probably I'd have to go back and listen. You were probably positive, but you're just so much more enthusiastic about this Ultimate Masters, and
because it's really easy to read. To me, the EV is so clear to me with what they've already shown. Now, so the set would have to be just total trash for this not to be like paying well, you know? And I don't think they did that. Like, especially when you look at like the tips that they're giving us with uncommons. Also, we found out Entomb is in the set, which is just like, hey, by the way, Entomb's in the set, which is a great rare, you know? So to me, like, you know, as somebody who like, okay, this is like supplements my income. Okay. So this is partially how like I buy diapers for my little 1-year-old, you know, this is how I put food on the table. And so when I see an opportunity like this, where it's going to be really something that everyone needs in some capacity, right? So you got the people who are excited about the foil cards, you got the players who are excited about cheaper singles, and then you got someone like me who's excited as an opportunity to provide that service to those people through a set that I can actually buy, open, and sell. Okay, when there's a set like M19 or M2 Magic 2019, I don't know what it's called, whatever. When that set came out, I didn't buy any of that because I'm like, no rare land cycle, you know, this thing is like lots of low value here. This is trash. I'm not going to buy it because I can't resell it and make money. And it's not all about the money, but hey, if I'm going to exercise, if I'm put effort and money into it, then I want to get a payday out of it, you know, and, you know, that's so something like that, you know, not interested in. Something like this makes me excited because other people are going to be excited about it, and I'm going to be happy to fill those needs. And I think it's going to do well for everyone. I think Wizards going to do well with it. Local game stores are going to do well. Somebody on Twitter asked, hey, what do you think about them sealing the box topper in the box? This is awesome. I think this is something that's actually just miles better than the way they've done it in the past. And the reason why is because local game stores will take those buy a box promos and sell them. Okay. And so like a lot of times when you're buying the box, you're not getting, or one of these things will happen. Hey, I want to buy a case. Okay. Here's your one buy a box promo and your case. Okay. So like this way, the players are actually going to get these box toppers. You know, it's not going to be something that people are going to be, local game stores are going to be selling. So it helps the players in that case. And then it helps the local game stores because the boxes are only available at local game stores. So if you want a box topper, you have to go to the game store to buy it. So I feel like everyone is winning here. And that's why I scratch my head at all the negativity. It's like, well, big high price. Well, you know, you don't have to opt in at that price. You know, A, you can look for a deal. B, you can buy the singles when they drop. C, you can, you know, shop around for box toppers or trade for them. You know, the set is going to have a trickle down, which you can ride that wave at any point in that wave you want to ride it, you know? And so I don't know, maybe I'm too positive, you know? I'm not a wizard shill. I'm telling you guys, you know, I'm not one of those, you know?
For reference sake, John, when's the last time you felt so positive about a set? This EV oozing out, like going crazy.
It feels a lot to me like Guilds of Ravnica, but it feels like over the top Guilds of Ravnica. Like I felt like Guilds of Ravnica was like just very layered, which was I was really excited about. These sets can't really be layered because they're reprint sets. And what I mean by layered is I held a bunch of Guild of Ravnica cards because I felt like they would go up. Because I felt like there's so many good cards in this set that not all of them are getting the attention that they need. So the value is going in waves, right? So like, first of all these mythics are expensive because they're good, right? And then when people find out Arclight Phoenix is good, it gets expensive, you know, so it just keeps paying, you know, that set just keeps paying. And this set won't necessarily do that because everyone knows what the cards are and what they do. But what I'm saying is from a value perspective, I feel like this feels a lot like Guilds of Ravnica in a value sense, but over the top, even like a notch higher. And I can't think of another time I was more excited about a set. I think Battle Bond was pretty exciting to me because of all the EDH playability. And like I said, EDH cards, those sell like nothing else. EDH sells cards, man. So like Battle Bond to me was like super interesting. It was built around mechanics that fed into like EDH play and stuff like that. And the foils were like sick value too. That was one of the things is like when you have a set like Battle Bond where the foils are like massive value, it just adds that icing on the top of the EV. So the set is already strong. Look at what do we have? Rare land cycle. That was strong, right? Those opponent lands, right, that come and play untapped. That was a strong cycle. Those are selling for like $7 to $9 right now. And so like there's a strong rare cycle, rare land cycle, lots of strong rares, greater good, we had other stuff like that. And then great mythics, Brightling, that was another layered one, right? Brightling didn't pop until later. We had other mythics and stuff that people want to play as commanders. So I would say like those are kind of sets that I get excited about. Battle Bond, Guilds of Ravnica, this set right here is feels like over the top good.
Yeah, I'm still surprised you say Guilds because Guilds just happened.
Yeah, it was just one of those sets where like I had said no to Magic 2019, and then when I started seeing the Guild spoiler and I saw that the rare Assassin's Trophy is going to hold up the EV and we have Shocklands, like that's a no-brainer to me. It's like, yeah, all day.
Man, I love it. I don't know if Elliot or Andy have questions.
I don't really have any questions. I only had a position on MTG Finance that all it is MTG Finance ripping off other MTG Finance. Everyone just speculates on cards, and then eventually a card's $20. But I got all these $20 bills. Who wants them? And he's like, "That's a $30 bill. Give me that." And then eventually they're like, "Hey kid, you want this $30 bill?" And he's like, "I don't have $30."
It's just a really annoying hashtag.
And I think your guys' criticism is fair. I think a lot of that happens. But again, you're focusing on the speculator side, right? There's a whole nother side, which is like not speculation. It's just commerce, right? It's just how cards get into the player's hands, like you guys. How people like Sal run a whole business on what is essentially true Magic Finance, right? It's him understanding the market, right? I mean, that's great. That's good for everyone. That's how you get to wear a face-to-face games hat. Magic Finance pays your bills, bro. How do you think we have GPs and stuff like that? You think Channel Fireball came out of the ground? No, it came out of Magic Finance, man. Channel Fireball is a card seller. That's in essence. There's a lot of pieces of Magic Finance, not only speculation, but some of the criticism is due, right? And some of the Magic Finance guys are super cocky, right? It's kind of just this weird, I don't know, like nobody likes anybody who's super cocky, right? You don't like that, it feels weird, and yeah, I've been guilty of that too myself. So I mean, nobody liked me. Maybe nobody still does like me. I don't know.
I love the high energy. I know some people are turned away by that.
Who's turned away?
I don't know. I think
name them, man. Name them. Who did it?
I don't know. I just feel like I think we're gonna wrap things up, John. But love your enthusiasm. Got your message. I think I'm more hyped about the set than I originally was because of just hearing you being so excited about it. I want to give you a chance to plug whatever I think other projects that you might have going on. Is there an update on Puka Trade you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think Puka Trade is we're working on a new feature with Puka Trade. We're trying to make Puka Trade easier for people to use. There's a lot of problems with Puka Trade, and we have to unpack that someday. This is probably not the podcast for that, but the steps that we're taking, I'm really excited about. I feel like they're going to reward the people who have the Puka points right now, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to right those people, and so that's my whole goal, and I'm seeing that start to kind of come to fruition, but it's going to be a super slow thing. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's going to take a long time. We have very little resources, and we're doing the best we can with what we have. So that's the update on Puka Trade. You know, I have a lot of other projects in the irons in the fire. If you want to find out more about those, just my Twitter is super active. It's at Medina_MTG. Is that right? Is that the Twitter? I think that's it. At Medina MEDINA_MTG, and you can ask me questions on there or whatever. If you think I'm wrong, that's totally cool. Like, just shoot me a message telling me I'm wrong, and that's fine. Like, I like to hear dissenting opinions because it helps me to fine tune and figure out, like, hey, maybe I did kind of go overboard there, or maybe that is suspicious or whatever, you know.
I haven't asked you. I haven't talked to you about this in a while. Have you put like board game creating on the shelf for now, or?
Oh yeah. So I was creating a board game. I made a board game called the Big Dig. It's actually a kind of like a deck builder, and it's an archaeology game. I sent it to a publisher to take a look as my friend. I said, hey, can you look at this? Tell me, am I just crazy that this might be good, or is it actually good? And he said, I'm about one revision away from getting it ready for like a publisher to look at it. He said like he would be interested in it if I put it in one direction, and he knew somebody who would be interested in it as it is. So if I wanted to talk to them, I could get it to the next step. But what happened after that is that I took on the project of Puka Trade, and that the game design stuff has kind of been put on the shelf. I have some changes that I want to make to the Big Dig, but I never went back and did it. So when I find some time to do that, you know, I will do that. But right now, you know, the selling Magic cards, Puka Trade, this is the stuff that's paying the bills. The game design, even if I do make a great game, it's not going to pay the bills. It's not going to make any money. It's just it's for the love. You know what I mean? It's not for real dollars, you know. So.
Back to the hello vlogs. Is anybody listening?
Remember that? Yeah. Hello. Who's listening? Is anybody there?
It's just yeah, like the advice some people give that you should vlog every day, but like not if no one's watching ever.
Yeah, I think it's like with a vlog, it's like, I don't know, you have to have something to say, right? Like, and you have to love it because it's just like streaming. Do you guys stream, right? Most of you guys?
Derek's
no?
our big streamer. Derek's our number one streamer on this panel.
Okay, maybe. So streaming can be a slog, man. It's like you have to be dedicated to do it regularly, and if you don't love it, it just becomes like, I'm not gonna do that. You know, you just fall off the train, man. Same thing with, you know, vlogging or making board games or whatever.
I can't wait for more vlogs. Actually, Derek, I can't wait for more vlogs that don't start like upside down. That would be that would be sweet.
Listen. I got a little bit of coverage for Montreal when we go to Milwaukee next month. I don't know what's in Milwaukee other than like cheese. If we have any Milwaukee listeners, if you could shoot me a mention, tell me like what's in Milwaukee other than cheese and beer. I have a sensitive stomach. Yeah, and I'll vlog some there.
Sweet. Well, I actually look forward to that stuff. Okay, anything else? Andy, Elliot, Derek, anything else you guys want to mention?
I just want to say, for the record, a couple casts ago, Elliot said that nobody would play for Assassin's trophies in their deck, and I would just like to say that Elliot was right, and that's the only time you're going to get that, Elliot. So you better like it now.
Well, I didn't see that coming.
We should clip that.
Yeah, he was right about that. We dumb. We dumb.
Big brain energy.
Okay, John, you gotta settle this debate. How many cards that you would have to be able to scry for it to equal drawing a card?
It's like 3, right?
3. The answer, Elliot, was it 3 for you?
That's what I said. I said
there's no amount. It's not a real card.
Draw a card.
It's not a real card.
Yeah, but like the virtual card advantage thing.
There we go.
Like, the card is just that it's not real. It's not quantifiable.
Yeah, but say that when you draw a land, right? When you
what am I drawing this land?
Okay, yeah. Derek. Like, we started off the podcast with you complaining about flooding out against Andy, where if you had some extra card filtering along the way, who knows what could have happened.
The thing about flooding out is that my cards aren't powerful to make of the flood. If I have Tireless Tracker, it doesn't matter if I flood. It has to do with based on the power of the other cards in my deck. Your virtual card advantage is based on the power level of the cards in your deck. It's not real quantifiable card advantage.
Yeah,
So,
but
like-
then you get into all kinds of other stuff because Tireless Tracker is a tempo thing, right? Because like if you
don't say tempo.
no, it is a timing thing because yeah, it's card advantage if you can crack the clues, right? But if you can't crack the clues, if you play a Tireless Tracker and then die, what did it do for you? Nothing, right?
Right, but then you're talking about card advantage in like an aggro versus a control setup. Where
Yeah, that's why I say there's a lot of facets here. We're like traversing all these facets.
So, like,
But
there's
not traversing
multiple
it.
ways where you can create virtual card advantage. One of them is your cards being powerful enough to make up for the fact that you're losing cards by flooding out. And the other one is having cards that increase your card selection, and that way you don't flood out. And so there's two avenues. One is you can play black-green, you can play some explorer creatures to maybe help you filter your draws, but you play a bunch of powerful mythics at the top end and find finality to catch you back up, and that's how you create your card advantage and virtual card advantage. The other option is you play cards that have surveil on them. You play more cards with explore, maybe path to discovery, and your average draw step is more powerful than your opponent's because you're filtering your cards. And you can approach that more powerful average draw by having better cards in your deck, like the Boros Angels deck, where their average card is high quality, whether it's a land or a Lyra. There's a big difference there. Or you play a bunch of more middle of the pack, but you're more likely to get the high end because you're filtering your draws. And that's how virtual card advantage works. That's why surveilling cards is approaching drawing a card. Yes, you can surveil 20 cards and you never actually have a card in your hand, but the next card you draw is worth more.
Just saying virtual card advantage is a poor excuse for not understanding what card advantage actually is. Because virtual card advantage isn't actually quantifiable. Hence the word virtual.
Derek, what would you rather have, 5 lands in your hand or 3 lands, 2 spells? Which is it?
Depends on the circumstance. Maybe I want lands in my hand.
Maybe he has a seismic assault and the person's at 6. Then 3
Yeah,
lands.
maybe I have a tireless tracker in my hand. Like, what are these 2 spells? Are they 1 with nothing? Like, do I have 1 with nothing and 3 lands? Is this what we're on right now?
No,
Wait,
it's okay.
I've always believed in virtual card advantage, but like I guess that is a good point. Like, what is it? Like,
Oh God! Oh no, Elliot,
You
he's
know?
converted Medina.
but like, what is it? Right? Because if it's virtual, is it actual card advantage?
It's
No,
increasing the quality of your
No.
next card draw. So you never get the actualized card advantage. Surveilling a card will never put a card into your hand. But
That's not real card
but
advantage.
wait, but like think about all the cards in your deck being rated on a scale of 0 to 10, right?
No, I
Let's say
understand.
you get to a point where a land is worth 0 and your mythic's worth 10. So
Mhm.
in a super basic example, let's say your deck's 30 of each. Your average draw is going to be a 5. But if before you draw, you get to scry 1, you've increased the value of your next draw because you're that much more likely to have a mythic.
But wouldn't that be like draw advantage instead of card advantage?
Sure, but I mean, you can name it whatever you want. It's called virtual card advantage before I gave it that title, so I'm
But-
calling it virtual card advantage.
That's just
Virtual
like the
draw
aggro.
advantage.
That's like the aggro versus control theory, right? Like the control deck has real card advantage, but the aggro deck has card advantage by killing the control deck before they get to use those cards. That's like another card advantage theory. And the same thing with like aggro versus mid range, or like even in this format now, like the white decks, like they'll kill you before you get to cast every card in your hand, even though they haven't drawn more cards than you. You're not using your cards efficiently. But
That sounds really
that's
weird
not-
to me. It feels like we're calling everything card advantage. I burned you before you could do anything. That's card advantage. That's not card advantage. That you just killed him.
No,
Right?
if we both have 15 cards and I cast all 15 of my cards and you only cast 10, in theory, I have card advantage. That's a way to evaluate virtual card advantage, but it's
Right.
not actual card advantage.
Right. So like, wouldn't the dead guy have the card advantage? Because like he'd have all these cards in his hand, but he'd be dead, and you would have an empty hand, but you just burned him, right? So like he's got the card advantage, but it doesn't matter because he's dead.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's the
It's
whole.
like card advantage doesn't strictly just involve cards in hand, right? You could have like when you play a creature, it's not negative card advantage. You're just transferring the resource from your hand to play. And the idea of killing your opponent is card advantage for you is, yeah, they have maybe more cards in their hand, but you've kind of made them discard the cards because they don't get them. They're dead.
Yeah, I mean like literal card advantage, like literal card count. Like the aggro decks don't have a very good way to normally get cards, but they kill their opponent before their cards actually have
meaningful value. Okay.
That's why like the burn decks in Modern are like never bad, because like you can play like Dredge and it doesn't matter what you do if burn kills you with all 7 of their cards before you get to Dredge and kill your opponent, right?
Yeah, but Dredge doesn't have card advantage, right? Does it?
That's
like,
oh,
that's a good one, right? Because like
advantage,
if
but
you dredge cards to your graveyard, is that virtual card advantage? Because you have all those cards in your graveyard, even though they're not in your hand.
I shouldn't have brought up a combo deck.
Milling a Faithless Looting is card advantage.
It sounds like we have all this figured out. I mean, totally
it's a really deep theory. Anyway, surveilling is not card advantage. Virtual card advantage is a fake concept. Don't buy into it. It's like MTG Finance.
All right,
fake news, week. So sad.
Next week on the First Strike Nation, there'll be a 2-hour-long lecture where I explain card advantage so that even people like Derek can understand.
PowerPoint presentation. I love this ending. I thought like Derek was like trashing MTG Finance, and then it's like he sort of brings John to his side of the card advantage discussion. Gold. I look forward to clipping parts of this and then tagging D-Rude and Gabe Sang. Wanted to get their thoughts on that. I think both of you are probably just agreeing but disagreeing on the actual concept and how it's used, I guess. But because Elliot makes sense to me.
No. I told Elliot he was only going to be right once, and he's already gotten it. So he's just wrong this time.
All right.
Okay, so tune in 2 weeks from now when he calls back this discussion and says Elliot was right again.
And then we'll call it back again when we see how good Ultimate Master does.
Right. And when they start to figure out that Magic Finance is their friend, and not their enemy,
All right. For Andy, any last words?
Get me out of here.
All right. For Andy, Elliott, John, Derek, and I, we'll see you next week. Definitely hit the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Face to Face Games YouTube channel, to get all our episodes. And get notified, hit that notification bell. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/firststrike. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.